but he replied patiently, his voice low and soothing as he said, "My name is Apollo Acadian." Evangeline waited again for a flare of recognition, or even just a tiny spark. She needed something familiar, something to hold onto that would keep her from collapsing back onto the ground. And Apollo looked at her as if he wanted to be that. No one had ever looked at her with so much intensity. He made her think of a hero from a fairy tale, broad-shouldered with a strong jaw, dark, smoldering eyes, and clothing that spoke of the sort of wealth that conjured images of treasure chests and castles. He wore a high-collared dark red coat with rich gold embroidery covering the cuffs and the shoulders. Beneath it was some sort of doublet. At least she thought that's what it was called. The men at home in Valenda dressed quite differently. But clearly she wasn't there anymore. The thought brought a new wave of panic that made her words come out in a rush. "How did I come to be here? How did we meet? Why don't I remember you?" she asked. "Your memories were stolen by someone who's been trying to tear us apart." Something flickered in Apollo's brown eyes, although if it was anger or pain, she couldn't tell. Evangeline wished she could remember him, but the harder she tried, the worse she felt. Her head hurt, and her chest felt hollowed out, as if she'd lost more than just her memories. For a second, the agony was so deep and so brutal, she clutched her heart, half expecting to find a jagged hole. But there was no wound. Her heart was still there. She could feel it beating. Yet for a devastating moment, Evangeline imagined that it shouldn't have been, that her heart was supposed to be as broken as she felt. Then it hit her. Not a feeling, but a thought. A sharp, fragmented one. She had something important to tell someone. Evangeline couldn't remember what it was, but she felt as if her entire world depended on this one thing she needed to share. Just thinking about it made her blood rush. She tried to remember what this something was that she needed to say, and who it was she needed to tell. Could it be this Apollo person? Could this be why her memories had been stolen? "Why is someone trying to tear us apart?" Evangeline asked. She might have thrown out even more questions. She might have asked once more how they'd met and how long they'd been married. But Apollo suddenly looked nervous. He shot a furtive glance over Evangeline's shoulder before quietly saying, "It's complicated." She followed his gaze to the strange wooden door she'd been curled up against. On either side of the door were two warrior angels made of stone, although they looked more lifelike than stone carvings were supposed to. Their wings were outstretched and spattered in dried blood. The sight of it brought another pang in her chest, as if her body still remembered even though her mind had forgotten. "Do you know what happened here?" she asked. For a split second, something crossed Apollo's face that almost looked like guilt. But it might have just been sadness. "I promise. I'll answer every question you have. But now we need to get out of here. We need to leave before he comes back." "Who is he?" "The villain who erased all of your memories." Apollo took Evangeline's hand, holding her firmly as he quickly led her from the room with the door and the warrior angels. Grainy, late-morning light lit shelves of manuscripts tied up with ribbons and tassels. It appeared they were in an ancient library, although the books looked newer the farther they ventured. Floors changed from dusty stone to gleaming marble. Ceilings grew taller. The light became sharper. Manuscripts turned into leather-bound volumes. Evangeline once again tried to search for something familiar in the late morning glow, something that might make her remember. Her head was clearer now, but nothing was familiar. She was truly elsewhere, and it seemed she had been for long enough to meet heroes and villains